Hi guys, welcome to title animation. Title animation is a very simple concept where you bring some text in, keep it there for a few seconds and then bring it out. This text can come from the border of the composition from the outside or can come, like you can see here, from within the composition. In this lecture we are going to focus on bringing some text in and taking it out. For that we are going to use the opacity animation, what I call the opacity animation, meaning using the opacity to bring in the text. This is very common and extremely powerful if you have a very good background and you really work on the timing of the animation. So let's start. Let's create our opacity composition, opacity title composition. Let's call it 01-opacity. And we make it 10 seconds, so we write 1000 here, that is 10 seconds in base 25. I will use the black background here just for clarity within the training. I'll click OK to create the animation. Now I'll take opacity and drop it outside, so it is outside, not inside my reference. When you get the project files, you know exactly what you have worked on. Fine, let's put some text. Now the font is very important. There are a few fonts that are very nice, but actually it's all a matter of taste. It's your taste. I will write, for example, welcome, press enter or control enter 2, and then title animation. Cool. So my text is using the font Blogger Sun and it is light and has 43. It's not pretty good. First of all, I will select all of them, go to my famous align and align them in the center of the composition. Here you are. Fine. Now I need to adjust them a bit. Okay. This font size is pretty nice, but for opacity I think it's pretty small. Select all the text here and show the delimiters here, and then go to character and make my text bigger. Okay, this will do. Then go back to my align, for example, and align it in the center. Everything is fine. Take this one down. I'm using shift and the cursors. Take this one a bit down also. Now let's create the opacity. I will select the 3 layers, creating a lasso. Press T for opacity. I think you know that already. Click on the stopwatch to start creating the animation. Get the opacity to be 0. Go after 1 second. It's gonna be slow, but it's good for us now, and make it 100%. Okay, let's run our animation and see exactly what we have. I will put the timeline indicator on 5 seconds. Press N to bring the work area end to 5 seconds. And then I can run the animation and see exactly what I have. Now I want to create the entry animation. Later on I will create the exit animation. Now I need to work on the keyframes and make it more beautiful than that. So I will select all the keyframes, press F9 to give them an easy ease. Go to the graph and select the keyframes and make them fit to selection. I will take these keyframes at the beginning and stretch them. I'll press Shift and Control to stretch them over here. And let's look at the animation now. I'll go back, I will zoom in and run the animation. Notice now it's becoming a bit nicer. Cool. That's enough for our example. What we want to do now is to create the exit. So you put the text on the screen. You want to leave it, for example, for 2 seconds or 1.5 seconds, depending, of course, on your animation, what you're trying to create. And then you want to exit. The first method to exit, the first tendency is to start recreating the keyframes. Now that's cool. If you really want to change the kind of animations that's taking this text out, it's good to recreate the keyframes. But if you want to replicate the entry, then you can copy and paste and use a small method to reverse the keyframes. I will select the first 2 keyframes, press Ctrl C to copy them, come here, adjust exactly, this is where I want them to end, and press Ctrl V. Now my 2 keyframes have been pasted, but it doesn't work because you notice this is entry and this is also an entry, so you have a mess. What you do, you need to reverse these keyframes, meaning the last one should come first and the first one come last. So we select both keyframes, right click on them, come to keyframe assistant and go to time reverse keyframes. Now After Effects has reversed the timing of these keyframes. If you run your animation, you notice now they come in, they stay there very nicely and then they come out. Cool, we did that for 1 layer. Let's do that for the second layer. I will copy, come back here, press K to sit on the keyframes very well, Ctrl V, and then I will do the same for the last one. Control C, Control V, select both layers keyframes, right click on one keyframe assistant, time reverse keyframes. Now let's run our animation, and the text comes in and the text comes out. But what we have done here, they're all coming in the same time, the 3 layers. You can adjust them now. Let's move them this way, and we have a kind of pyramid. Notice what's happening here. The first layer that is coming in is the first layer that's coming out, and that is welcome. Here you are, you notice what's happening. Cool. But sometimes you don't want to do that. In fact, most of the time, what you want is the first layer coming in is the last layer coming out. How do you fix this? You take these keyframes and you move them to this side. Okay? You take the middle keyframes and you move them to this side. You try to have the same timing. Let's run our animation and see exactly what we have. Welcome to title animation, and then title animation welcome will go that way. So you have learned a lot here. Don't underestimate it. First of all, you learned how to reverse keyframes, and that's very important, and hence you are reversing the animation, any animation here, not only opacity, on the layer using Ctrl C, Ctrl V, keyframe assistant, and reverse keyframe. Now also you learned the pyramid style. I like to call it like this, where the first in is the last out. You can change that. You can do it the way you want. For example, I'll move this one over here, and then I have a 2 being removed, the first one. Here you are. It depends on what you want to create. I will undo this one. But we have learned the concept. We bring text in, we duplicate our keyframes, and we reverse them, and then we bring our text out. It's pretty easy. That's the first method to create an animation in and animation out. And I like to call it that way. You can use entry and exit, whatever you want, but in and out is pretty nice. Thanks very much for listening. In the next lecture, we are going to learn about track mattes and how to bring text from within the composition, not from the borders. See you in the next lecture.